Thank you so much for your time today, Nick. It's really great to see you as always. Could you just start off by giving us a bit of a background about who you are, your training, your experience?
Sure. Well, thanks for having me, Emily. It's great to see you. And Nick Marsden. I'm a consultant plastic surgeon trained in the UK. I've fully trained plastic surgeon, board certified with fellowship experience in Australia and also in the UK doing microsurgery.
Yeah.
But I'm a consultant here in Abu Dhabi, Sheikh Shakhbout Medical City. Yeah. I've been here for just over a year now and specialise in all aspects of plastic surgery. So reconstructive surgery from cancer, from trauma, but also general plastic surgery and also cosmetic surgery, which as a group of surgeons, we've actually developed a cosmetic practice over the last sort of 6 months, which is really new, exciting, and it's really enjoyable at the moment. We're doing good things.
Yeah. Oh well, how's that going? Yeah, because I remember the last time I saw you, I think it was quite a while ago now. I came to visit you at the hospital.
Yeah, you came to Sheikh Shakhbout last year, I think it was.
Yeah, it's gone so fast. And
so at the time, we've got 4 consultant surgeons, 2 other British surgeons, and so it's a fairly new cosmetic program we've got, but it's building. Our practice is building quite quickly, actually.
Nice.
Which is good because it's another sort of aspect of plastic surgery which we can offer to our patients now.
Yeah.
We do a lot of reconstruction for trauma, so we're the major trauma centre for the region. So we get a lot of patients with different levels of injury, and that was what I was doing mainly in the UK. So my practice in the UK was very much based around reconstruction, mostly trauma.
Yeah.
So it's good that I've been able to bring my practice here to the UAE. And things obviously a bit different here compared to what I was working in the UK. My practice in the UK was purely NHS public work. So getting used to the insurance-based sort of private system out here did take a bit of getting used to. Yeah. But within a month or so, you actually get the hang of that. But that was sort of quite a big change for me. The actual practice, the work is very similar. We get a lot of trauma, a lot of multidisciplinary working with orthopedic surgeons, general surgeons, which is great. It's something I really like about plastic surgery is that we get to work with other specialties.
And why did you choose to specialise in plastic surgery?
So I didn't know anything about plastic surgery when I was a medical student. So in the UK, as part of my sort of 6 years in medical school, I had no exposure to plastic surgery at all. Mm-hmm. I was fortunate enough that actually my eldest sister is married to a plastic surgeon as well. And so I got to sort of experience it just through spending a week with him during his training when I was a junior doctor. And actually with my first day of working, I think most people, if you say plastic surgery, they just think cosmetic surgery. Yeah. But plastic surgery is, obviously that's part of it, but it's so much more. So it's such a varied specialty. We operate from head to toe, from cradle to the grave, babies up until older patients. Yeah. And there's no boundaries within plastic surgery. It's not textbook. It's not like you have an operation and there's a page in a book where you can say this is what you do, step 1, 2, 3. Yeah. It's applying sort of anatomy and techniques of reconstruction, which you can apply to whatever comes through the door. So the variation, the out-of-the-box thinking, the creativity is what really drew me to plastic surgery. Yeah. No 2 days are the same because you don't know what's coming through the door, whether that's reconstructing for congenital, from trauma, from cancer. I still do operations on things that I've never seen before, but it's essentially just applying principles and a knowledge of anatomy. So that's what I love. That's what drew me to plastic surgery.
So why did you decide to relocate, and why specifically did you choose to relocate to Abu Dhabi in the UAE?
So the honest answer is for family reasons, to provide a lifestyle that me and my wife and my kids wanted, which we didn't really have the opportunity to live in the UK. Yeah. I had a fantastic job in the UK. I loved my job, my work, my teammates. The hospital was great, but we'd had the opportunity to live abroad before. We lived in Melbourne, Australia for a year when I was doing my fellowship. Yeah. And we just loved that different way of life. Yeah. And I think once we got back to the UK, when I was a consultant in the UK, that was always in the back of our minds that actually the opportunities, particularly for the kids, but just for our sort of enjoyment of life, it wasn't quite hitting the mark back home in the UK. Yeah. And I'd never actually considered the UAE as a place to work. I think I'd known people that have done it before, but it tended to be sort of a way of life for people towards the end of their career.
Yeah.
That was more common a move when you've established practice, maybe the last few years of your work. But actually nowadays it's a lot more common for younger doctors to move out here.
Yeah.
And so I'd never contemplated moving to the UAE before, but when I was approached by your team, it was the first time I'd really thought about it. And initially it wasn't something that I was set to do, but speaking with my wife and actually then looking into things a bit more, doing a bit of research, we thought maybe we'll consider it and see what there is to offer.
Yeah.
And again, at the time, Abu Dhabi was not on our radar, if I'm honest. Dubai was obviously the place we knew of. We'd been to Dubai on a holiday before. And so that was where we were thinking, Dubai. And I spoke to you put me in touch with a UK surgeon who was in Dubai at the time. And he was great. And we had a long chat. And actually, when I talked about my experience, what I wanted in life from work, he said, you need to speak to this guy in Abu Dhabi. He was the head of the unit at Sheikh Shakhbout at the time. And just so happens then I heard from the hospital and it seemed a very good fit for my experience and what I was looking for work-wise.
Yes.
And so we came out and did a very brief trip to have a look around, meet the staff, look at the hospital, and was very impressed, obviously straight away. So it's a fantastic facility. And then had my first experience of Abu Dhabi. And I remember coming home to my wife after that very short trip and saying, it felt... I had no knowledge of Abu Dhabi. It was going to be a huge culture shock, but actually just spending a day here, met some people, friends of friends, had a look around, and actually the way of life seemed very, very normal. Yes. And I remember saying to my wife, actually, we went out for dinner and I felt like I could have been in London, in Melbourne, in the States. It just felt very like a normal way of life. And that was the time we said, let's give it a chance. We wanted an adventure, we wanted an experience for the kids, and it felt like a good opportunity. And no regrets at all. We've done that. We had a year anniversary back in March, and we've had no regrets whatsoever.
Yes, I was speaking to your family actually earlier today, and even your children are really happy in the schools, aren't they?
Yeah, so I've got 3 children, and our oldest 2 are settled in a British school, British International School Abu Dhabi, which is British curriculum. So they've slipped straight into that very well. It's a fantastic school, British curriculum, and our youngest starts there in end of August. So I'll have all 3 kids in school. Perfect. They're very settled. My wife's settled. She just started a new job. Yes. We're really settled and having a great time.
Yeah, we often get, from all of our doctors actually, we get really positive feedback about the schools, and they always say that their children settle in really well, and it's actually a lot easier than what they thought it would be.
We came from, our kids were in a very small state school back home, in a little village school, so it's chalk and cheese as to what their experience was before, but the schooling is great, and the opportunities they have in terms of extracurricular activities, they would just not have had back home. So they're doing things that would never have thought of before. Robotics, coding, it's all just part of their extracurricular activities. Sports, swimming is part of their their weekly education.
Learn more languages here as well.
Yeah, they learn language, having to learn Arabic.
Yes.
I'm struggling with that, but that's okay.
And how's your experience been working at Sheikh Shakhbout Medical City in Abu Dhabi?
So as I said, initially it was a bit of a shock, mainly from coming from a purely public NHS system to a more insurance-based practice. So that did take some getting used to, but it didn't take long, and it becomes very, very straightforward actually once you get grips with it. So
Sheikh Shakhbout Medical City in Abu Dhabi, it's a major trauma centre here in the UAE. Have you found any major differences compared to other hospitals that you've worked in previously?
No, it's been the major trauma centre for the region for a long time. It's recently we have a burn centre. The Burn Centre for Excellence now is based in Sheikh Shakhbout. So burns and plastics in other parts of the world, where I was working before, we're all part of one department. Yeah. So the Burns Centre is slightly separate from the plastic surgeons. Yeah. We work together, but they have a Centre of Excellence now, so they cover the whole region for burns. The major trauma centre is very well established. Yeah. Through the ED department, through the trauma surgeons, orthopedics, plastic surgeons, neurosurgeons, and critical care. So we have all of the main, and maxillofacial surgeons. So we have all of the components you need for a major trauma centre. All of the departments are excellent, work very well together.
Yeah.
So no, it's very harmonious. It works very much like any other major trauma centre that I've been part of.
Amazing. How are you and your family enjoying the lifestyle here in Abu Dhabi?
The lifestyle's absolutely fantastic. The weather's always good. It gets a bit hot in summer, obviously, as you know. But whereas back in the UK, if you have a hot summer, in the UK, we're not set up for it. But here, even though it can get high 40s, everything's air conditioned. Yeah. We've got pools, we've got the beach. There's so many different entertainment sort of facilities. Yeah. We live in Abu Dhabi. We've got Yas Island, which is the entertainment capital of Abu Dhabi. Yeah. Across the water from us, 10-minute drive. There's theme parks, there's water parks, there's malls, there's wonderful restaurants. Yeah. Everything on your doorstep. It's very close, and we're just loving our life here. Very much outdoors for 6-7 months of the year. The weather is absolutely beautiful. Always sunny and warm. Yeah. Don't really get much rain, which is always nice. So we don't have many indoor days for rainy days at home. Yeah. There's always things to do. We've built up a huge group of friends with kids. So our lifestyle where we live is very much a community based. So. Yeah.
You found it quite easy to meet people here?
We have, yeah. We had the experience of, we did that in Australia for a year. So we've had that. You have to sort of put yourself out there. Yeah. When you're new to an area, you have to say yes to everything, be sociable and sort of meet your people. And we're very fortunate that we did that quite quickly. And the kids have.
That's lovely.
And I think probably the best thing about where we're living is the safety.
Yes.
So having kids, it's sort of we're giving our kids a sort of growing up similar to what we had, my sort of generation growing up, where we'd go outside, we'd spend all day. You didn't have to be with your parents for safety reasons all the time. Obviously, we are around our children, but they've got a bit more freedom. It's very safe, gated communities. They can go out on their bikes. Yeah. It's just fantastic for them. Yeah. They feel a lot more freedom. I think they're growing up and maturing quicker because of that.
And do you have any advice for other consultants who might be considering the move to relocate to the UAE?
Yes. So I think if you don't know anything about the UAE, like I was in that position, speaking to people, obviously you've got a massive network of doctors here from all over the world. And so I'm sure you can put them in touch with someone in their field from their country. You've got such a big network. And that was really helpful for me because it was something completely alien to me. Yeah. And so being able to speak to someone that's out here, and it may not be that they can give you the correct advice, but they'll know someone that can. Yeah. So speaking to people out here in advance, and then I think ultimately you have to visit. That was really important to visit, see the facility that you're looking to work at, meeting the staff. Yeah. Allocation Assist were extremely helpful before, but also once we arrived. The networking events have been really useful. I tried to get to some of them. Just to meet other people in the same position. I say we've been very fortunate that we've built up a very good friendship group and social group. But obviously, I think for new people arriving, that's just another aspect that you can go and meet people who are in the same boat as you. Yeah. And I think just being able to come out with an open mind, because it is maybe not what you expect. We'd spoken to a lot of people and had sort of an idea of what it would be like, but actually it was very different and actually far better than we ever thought it would be.
And how was your experience working with Allocation Assist?
Fantastic. You've got a great set of staff from the very first time I was approached. As I said, I wasn't really thinking about it at the time, but they were able to give me sort of enough interest to actually make me look into it further, which I hadn't considered before.
We connected with you on LinkedIn. I think we found
via LinkedIn, and then a phone call, and then we had a Zoom call. I think
I remember,
and that's when you put me in touch with one of the UK surgeons. Yeah, and then the whole process. Once we made the decision, that was the hardest part, was making the decision for us. Yeah. But once we did, actually everything went very smoothly. Yeah. The paperwork, the licensing, etc., was dealt with between yourselves and the HR of the department. So all I had to do was just keep providing paperwork, and then the rest was done. Yeah. So it was actually very easy, and you found me the perfect hospital for me in terms of what I was looking for. So very grateful for that. And then I said, once we arrived, you've kept in touch. We've met a few times, and the social networking events are always good fun. And I've met a few other plastic surgeons in the region now, which is nice. So we keep in touch. Yeah. I think having you and the team have made the process very streamlined.